What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video, we're taking a look at my best team here in the Great League for the season of Shared Skies. This team I have been using for most of the season in one way or another to great effect, usually gaining some elo in the process, but I just haven't made a video on it because it hasn't really aligned with the content schedule the way when I've been running the team. Just being able to play the team and being able to record a video on the team are two totally different things here. But we're getting the chance to put the video out here near the end of the season. Hopefully this team allows you all to help get some good climbing in with this team. I like it a lot. It's been very good for me. Went 12-3 over Go Battle Weekend in the few sets that I played with it. And over the course of the season, it's also been very, very good. So the lead here is going to be a Shadow Alolan Sandslash with that Legacy Shadow Claw. I have tried Powder Snow. I did try it. You could do better with Powder Snow if you see a lot of things like Lickitungs in the lead, but overall, I much prefer the Shadow Claw for the broader coverage that it provides, and it is Shadow. If you have a non-Shadow, again, that can work as well. I just prefer the Shadow because it hits harder, and just, it's like Shadow Gligar versus regular Gligar, you know what I mean? Just like it hits a little bit harder, and you don't really lose much bulk in exchange. The closer on this team is going to be an Azumarill. We're rocking Hydro Pump on the Azumarill, and this is an XL Azumarill. I built it when Medicham was a thing, so you could just use a high-rank Azumarill. My IVs don't have to be what you use. You could just use like your rank 1 Azumarill. It'll do just fine. This one was made to be able to beat Medicham back when Medicham was in its prime. So, but we do use Hydro Pump because I want to be able to deal with the fires, and also Hydro Pump is good to help deal with other steel types like Bastiodon in case those are lurking in the back. Now, the thing that brings this whole team together here is my non-Shadow Feraligatr. If you want to use a Shadow, you can. However, I prefer the bulk on the non-Shadow as it has won me more games than having the Shadow. Usually when I use the Shadow, I take a move or I have to shield everything, and then something just farms me down anyway, and I lose because of it. So I prefer the non-Shadow Feraligatr here, and my IVs, again, are not specific for any reason. They're just what I had when I built the Feraligatr. So, again, you could use a high-rank Feraligatr, maybe get a little bit of attack weight on yours to win those charge attack priority ties. That's actually one of the big benefits of mine having 4 attack. But let's get into these games here, as I want to show off this team a little bit. I really, really, really enjoy using this team here in the Great League. And all 3 of these Pokemon are going to be very meta relevant next season. So hopefully when you're watching this, you have an opportunity to maybe get these Pokemon or invest in them. They're going to be worthwhile at least through the next season. Currently, while I'm recording this is the World Championships event, so you could go out and get a good Azumarill, and also some other things that are going to be highly ranked on the PV Poke rankings next season. But in this first game here, we're going to get an Azumarill lead here, and what I like to do is swap into my Feraligatr so that I can absorb the bubbles a little bit easier. I've tried playing it out and chipping with the Sandslash in the past, and it just works better for me if I come in and take the resisted bubble damage instead of taking neutral. And even though I'm dealing resisted Hydro Cannon damage back, these Shadow Claws are ripping through this Azumarill, and the opponent giving up no shields there allows me to farm down. Now, they come in with their own Alolan Sandslash here, and I'm wondering what they have in the back, because there is not, like, you would have to think that either they are trying to save something for my Alolan Sandslash, or they don't have an answer for my Feraligatr. So I'm going to come in with my Azumarill because it's going to be able to absorb the energy here of this Alolan Sandslash, and that way I can save the shield for my own Alolan Sandslash, hopefully, for whatever's in the back. So, going to get this farm down. The opponent is going to be able to fire off one more Drill Run for the road here, and Drill Run will get me down into the yellow, but I'm going to go for the Hydro Pump as soon as I see the Skeletors. I'm just like, you know what? Let's just do it, man. Let's do it. Hydro Pump gets the knockout. Well, let me explain my thought process here, because this is not meant to just be a team showcase. I also kind of want to give you guys breakdowns of why I make some of these plays. So my thinking at the end there was throw the Hydro Pump. You're either going to get the shield and come in with the Alolan Sandslash and get to the Drill Run, right? Even though you're taking all that damage from the Incinerates, you can still get to a Drill Run in the 3 Incinerates that it takes to KO the Alolan Sandslash. But the fact that they needed to call that as a player for an Ice Beam just means that we get to take that win. So good game. Getting into the next game, speaking of Skeletors, we see one on the lead here, and this is not a good lead for me. My opponent going to come in with a Wigglytuff to counter swap against my Feraligatr, and this looks really rough. I'm not going to be able to get switch advantage here, most likely, as the opponent would probably shield up this next move. So I'm just basically going to try to get shield advantage and hope that at some point, maybe later, I can land a Drill Run against the Skeleturge, or even maybe Azumarill can sweep with a shield advantage in the back. But the opponent actually doesn't shield here and lets that go, and that allows me to get to a Hydro Cannon on my Feraligatr. They were hoping to get that farm down, but instead they caught these hands. and Hydro Cannon's going to get the shield off the Skeleturge, and we're off to a pretty good start here, because now I can put my Azumarill on the Skeleturge without really having to worry about much here, and I think that the opponent, I mean, I don't know what they have in the back, so I'd like to think that they would have really wanted to make a play for switch advantage there, but I'm fine either way. I'm just going to absorb this next move. I know that the first one was most likely to be a Shadow Ball, so I was okay with providing one shield, but the opponent actually has a Poliwrath in the back, so it kind of makes sense now as to why they didn't shield the Wigglytuff, because no matter what they had a good matchup against the Alolan Sandslash. So in this battle here, what I'm doing is I'm going for the play rough on bad timing. I'm going on alignment here because I was hoping to catch my opponent off guard by throwing on bad timing. But they also cap time me there, so we're going to get the play rough through. Now, here's a huge play that I have to kind of like, because the thing is you would normally never switch an Alolan Sandslash into a Poliwrath, right? Because double super effective counters. But knowing how many counters you can take, I can get to this Ice Punch because they threw their Icy Wind almost immediately, and so I'm going to be able to get this move off here, take out the Poliwrath, and I still have enough HP left over to deal with the Skeleturge. Now, even if they incinerated me down there, I would have been able to go for the Bubble Down with my Azumarill because I still had a shield. So good game to this opponent. That was so close, dude. It was a lot closer than it looked. Anyway, into the next game, we have exactly what this team is meant to be hunting. It's the Gligar. Now, my opponent save swaps into a Shadow Empoleon, and I respect the spice here. But even though the whole team beats Gligar, I have to wonder what they have in the back. And I can't bring in my Azumarill, so I instead opt to bring in the Feraligatr here because it has quick pacing. I should be able to shield up a Drill Peck and get to a Hydro Cannon and hopefully take out the Empoleon here. And the opponent is keeping good track of our energy here as they do throw on the Cap Tie in order to get their Drill Peck in when I get my move off. Empoleon does win charge attack priority against Feraligatr, despite Feraligatr looking much more sinister here. And I'm going to go for a slight overfarm and throw my Hydro Cannon, but I miscount so badly here, and I'm off by one. They're able to get the Drill Peck through, but because we're not running the Shadow Feraligatr, I am going to be able to survive that Drill Peck, and that's what I really like about my non-Shadow Feraligatr is that I can live moves. Now, the opponent brings in a Mandibuzz because they don't want to risk taking a move on their Gligar, but they probably could have got the farm down on the Gligar if they had known, but they probably, if I had to guess, maybe lost track of my energy. But this now just allows me to put a Azumarill on the Mandibuzz, and the opponent is going to have to deal with a Azumarill, and I don't think that they really can. So they all agree, so they're going to concede, but good game. We're getting into the next game here with a Sandslash into a Feraligatr. This is a tough lead for this team, and I have learned to play it a very specific way. So when I see him on the lead, I will shield the first move, and then I'm going to go for a Drill Run myself. I'm probably going to get a shield back. You could also bait with an Ice Punch if you really want to. Most Shadow Feraligatrs are going to shield this. Drill Run is going to get the first shield, and I'm going to try to catch the next move here on my own Feraligatr, but the opponent keeps farming, and now I'm in a bit of danger here as they have two Hydro Cannons pretty much loaded and ready to go here. So I'm going to take the first one because I know I can, and I'm going to go for the next move on charge attack priority, or if they're going to try to overfarm, now they're going to have to consider shielding this as well, and now all shields are down. I have an option now. I can shield or let this go. I'm actually going to let this go here because I figure I can get a farm down with my Alolan Sandslash or potentially come in with my Azumarill and absorb some energy. So I'm going to come in with the Sandslash, but because I overfarm before swapping out to be able to try to catch that move, I'm able to outpace here to the move and get rid of this Feraligatr before it can wreak any more havoc in the opponent. We have an Annihilate and a Bastion, but this is okay because we have Hydro Pump. So what I need to do here is I need to have the play rough ready to go for the Annihilate, and then what I can do is I can just make sure that we save the shield for a move here. However, running this back, and you guys are going to see just very, very quickly here, I do make a mistake in this game that costs me the game, so we're going to try to highlight it so that maybe in the future, maybe somebody else picks up on it. Maybe I also pick up on it. So I think that I could farm down here, and I can try to knock off two play roughs because the opponent only had one or two counters, right? So I'm thinking I just go for the farm down, I can go for the double play rough, right? But look at how low I am now. I am now forced to, like a Night Slash would almost be enough to knock me out here. So now I have to adjust my strategy to try and screw that up, man. So essentially, let me just kind of break this down, right? So I'm thinking I either need to try to catch a move or I need to try and Shadow Claw down. I very much overestimated how much HP my Sandslash had left on it, and they just counter down, farm me down. The best play here probably would have been to either continue using bubbles and force them to throw this Night Slash, or it would have been to try to catch the Night Slash when they would have thrown it. I think either way, the opponent probably would have outplayed me here at the end. My real win condition would have been to throw a Hydro Pump at the Bastiodon before being forced to take that that second move. So good game to the opponent. Very, very well played. This next game is against a GehrFelrose, Shadow Spice in the next game. So what we're going to do here is go for the Ice Punch. The opponent has usually like Thunder Punch or Trailblaze, or Thunderbolt, or Psychic Fangs. Those are usually the moves that you see with one. So they're going to go for a move on 3 Confusions. That is telling me this is definitely a Psychic Fang. So I'm going to eat it and then swap out to my Feraligatr. And now what I can do is I can go for a Hydro Cannon before they get to their next move. And now I've effectively stripped both shields at the cost of 0 shields of myself. This is setting me up very nicely here, and I can shield this. I will. The opponent has the option to stand in Confusion down or swap into a Wigglytuff that I know is coming, and that's only because I remember this game as I did just play it. So we're going to throw the Hydro Cannon here. The opponent's third Pokemon, I'm not sure what it is yet, but I'm kind of reacting here. But the thing is that because we swapped so quickly, or shouldn't say they swapped so quickly, but because they only got a few charms through, is what I was trying to get to there. We can go for a Drill Run here to knock out, and the opponent has the GehrFelrose in the back, and I'm just kind of waiting to see what they do here. They bring in a Bastiodon, and so this game should be over. All I have to do here early is just land a Drill Run or a Hydro Pump here. I just need to make sure that they don't catch my move, and the only thing that I'm worried about shielding here is the Stone Edge, because at this point, if the opponent brings in their GehrFelrose, I can actually just throw a move and knock it out completely because there's no shields left in this game. If the opponent was going to bring in their GehrFelrose, that was when they should have done it, but they just threw the move, so since they were 3 Confusions away, we're going to be able to outpace them to this move, throw the player up and get the knockout, and the opponent here on their Bastiodon is essentially going to be forced to throw a move, and they won't be able to, so that's going to be a good game, well played. All right, next game's up. We got a Sandslash into a Lantern. I have to check and see if this is Water Gun or Spark. The difference is going to mean something for my backline here, because Water Gun Lantern is significantly worse into Feraligatr, but the opponent safe switches in to a Lickitung trying to catch a Drill Run. I was kind of expecting to throw on 7 instead of 6 because of the fact that I know they have Water Gun. It's going to take them 14 Water Guns or so to get to that first Surf, but the other thing too is that Feraligatr and Azumarill can also do okay into Water Gun Lantern as long as I save shields. So I'm going to go for a Hydro Pump here into this Lickitung, and we're going to try and see if we can't get a shield, and if they don't shield, I'm actually going to look to farm down. Now, we saw how much a Play Rough did, or how much a Power Whip did. It won't quite knock out, but it'll be very close. I'm hoping to get a Bubble down, but my opponent is going to be able to farm down. I'm not at a move, but it's only 1 Water Gun. I was at 1 HP. And in comes the Shadow and Sandslash to be able to fire off this Drill Run. The opponent really not getting any extra energy from their attempt to catch here, so they're just now at the Surf. So because they just threw this energy, I could come in with my Feraligatr here if I want to, but the Lantern is just a little bit too healthy. So I'm going to throw my Drill Run right away, hoping they don't try to catch again, and thankfully they don't. So after this, the opponent has to shield, or they get very low, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with Feraligatr, and we're going to get the Snipe. The reason why that's such an important thing is that because of the pacing of the Sandslash and how much energy they couldn't get off my Azumarill, they were just getting to that next Surf as I got to my Drill Run. So that means that I was able to safely either farm down with the Feraligatr and not have to take a Thunderbolt, and that's kind of where the play came from. So they have a Wigglytuff in the back here. And so I'm going to go for my Hydro Cannons and try to get the final shield from my opponent. Sandslash, if I just save the shield for it, we should easily be able to KO this Wigglytuff because a Drill Run will do about half, and we have a shield, so no matter what move they throw here, we're going to be able to get there. But I can also try to get to a Hydro Cannon here before they're able to throw, so either way, I'm good here. I just saved the shield. I could have potentially gone for the Hydro Cannon here, but I figured that if they Icy Wind me, and for some reason it's not enough to knock out, that was the only way that I was going to lose that game. So, going to go for the Drill Run and knock out that stupid little Wigglytuff. That's a good game. Wigglytuff was the only thing that they missed on the new season updates. And I'm so sad, man. I'm like, man, please get this thing out of here. All right, Charge-a-Bug is also a very difficult one for this team. It makes a lot of sense for us to just go straight for Ice Punches, straight for a move right away. But I, for some reason, tend to overfarm here, and a lot of the times the opponent will bait with an X-Scissor. In this case, I do shield it because this one, like sometimes they'll discharge, sometimes they'll X-Scissor. I normally shield anyway, but I go for back-to-back moves here because I was expecting them to throw as well. The right play here is probably just to go straight Ice Punch since you always need 2 moves to knock out. But I actually safe switch in my Azumarill here. I'm not expecting them to have a Grass type in the back because they have a Charger Bug in the lead that is weak to Fire. That would be very strange of them to have a Grass type in the back. It usually gets cored with other things. So I'm going to just absorb all this energy onto my Azumarill here. And I'm going to save my Sandslash and Feraligatr, the shields that hopefully will be used later. The opponent staying in that matchup and having an Azumarill in the back, I'm hoping that that means that maybe they're not super strong into my Azumarill, or into my Sandslash or Feraligatr. So we'll see what they have in the back. It's going to really come down to that. But it has to be an answer for something like Skeledirge, right? So I will now come in with my Sandslash, and I'm just like, if you got Hydro Pump, throw it. I'm going to try to sweep up this game with Feraligatr. They do have the Hydro Pump. And that's going to do a ton of damage, but now I'm going to let my Feraligatr get to work here. I do shield up this move because it is probably the play rough. They've shown me Hydro Pump. I don't think they're going to have Ice Beam, so it is the play rough. We are going to shield that up and go for a nice farm before we throw a Hydro Cannon here. And remember that the Charger Bug is energy dry and also very, very low HP. I'm undercharging, hoping for a farm down, but the opponent actually gives me their final shield, which tells me that whatever they have in the back does not appreciate the presence of this Feraligatr. They have an Alolan Sandslash with Powder Snow in the back, and I'm really hoping that they don't try to catch here. That would be my one way of losing, so I need to be careful. And I actually overfarm almost by accident here, expecting them to go for it. And I'm sitting here trying to wait a turn. I'm trying to see if they catch. Like I'm just over here trying to not trying to lose this game. But we're just gonna go for the Hydro Cannons back to back here. I'm like, you know what? They're either gonna do it or they're not. So I'm just gonna go for them. Take out the Alolan Sandslash, and Charger Bug is also going to go down to 1 Shadow Claw, and that's a good game. Getting into this next battle here, we're going to have a Skarmory on the lead. This is a solid lead for this team here, but only really for Feraligatr, honestly. So we're going to safe switch into Feraligatr because I don't want to take the Steel Wings on my Sandslash if I can just try to make it so that my Sandslash deals with like a Brave Bird or something later. And the fact that they're not swapping out here, like if I see Skarmory in the lead, I'm assuming there's a Mudboy in the back and maybe a Dragonair. Now, the opponent not swapping out here, and the fact that Skarmory has terrible pacing overall, means that I'm going to have a very good time here trying to overfarm here, and the opponent actually also shields. So, at this point, I have now committed. I'm committing both shields. They're very weak in the back to Feraligatr. That's why they're shielding. They Brave Bird. They're not swapping. There's the swap. It's a Quagsire. I'm going to go for the double Hydro Cannon and try to get rid of this thing ASAP. Azumarill and Sandslash both are going to have play here, especially if the opponent only has 1 Mudboy in the back. Now, if they have 2 in the back, my Sandslash is going to have a tough time, but it has play. The opponent does not give up their final shield, so whatever they have in the back, it's a Gligar. They are really hoping that I'm not going to have any way to deal with this Gligar, but I'm going to stash a Hydro Cannon for later, as my Feraligatr is going to win Charge Attack priority against both the Gligar and against the Skarmory. Now, I want to just, this is something that comes up once in a while. I want to kind of address the why I did the way I did it, right? So, banking a move and swapping out only works if you win Charge Attack priority against whatever's left on the team. Because I know that Skarmory and Gligar are the only 2 Pokemon left on this team, I know that my Feraligatr is going to win Charge Attack priority, so at any point in time, I could just switch my Feraligatr in and throw the Hydro Cannon whenever I like, even if they have a charge move banked. So that's why, in this case, I do that. Now, if you lose Charge Attack priority, like let's say Feraligatr loses Charge Attack priority to Gligar and Skarmory, then what I would be doing here instead is I would be throwing the Hydro Cannon and then swapping out to just at least get some use out of that energy. My opponent attempts to catch on their Skarmory. I'm still just going to throw the play rough here, and we are going to be able to take this game because the opponent is not going to be able to take me out if I go for this play rough and then have a Hydro Cannon and also have an Alolan Sandslash. It's just, they could land the dig here on the Alolan Sandslash, but they're not going to have very much success in doing so when there is a healthy Feraligatr in the back as well. So we just needed to get that shield, go for the Hydro Cannon. It's going to be a good game here. Well played to the opponent. All right. Getting into this next game here. Sandslash against a Gligar lead. Now, these battles, I don't know if I mentioned already, these battles were taken across 3 sets that I played on Go Battle Weekend, so these aren't sets that I've taken from the whole season, but these were recent sets, right? But, like, these are still pretty, you know, they're still pretty, you know, relevant to the meta, right? Like, that's not all D-Gen. It's pretty common teams. I made sure that I took the 3 sets worth of battles and kind of cut out only a few that were, like, completely irrelevant to the meta, stuff that you would never, never see, or games that like the opponent decided that they didn't want to tap anymore, just stuff like that, right? I wanted to keep, I think there's like 11 or 12 games in here, and we won a whole total of 12-3 over the course of these 3 sets. So this team was functioning really well for me this entire season, to be honest. We're going to be able to get the Skarmory low here. And Skarmory is another thing that I just enjoy seeing with this team. Like, I feel like this team does very well against seeing so many of the common problematic Pokemon for a lot of people. Right, Brave Bird's gonna get this, gonna take out my Feraligatr here, and we can come in with a Alolan Sandslash. I'm gonna try to fully farm this thing down, and we have energy for the Gligar, we have energy for the Annihilate. But now I also know from previous experience that 2 Drill Runs knocks out Annihilate. So we're going to stay in and go for both of these drill runs. I have a Azumarill for the Gligar. We are absolutely fine here. I'm too low also to stay in, so I am going to swap out. Opponent's going to see this Azumarill and concede. Good game. All right, next battle, we got a Alolan Sandslash versus a Dugong. This is not something I'm used to seeing in the lead, but we're going to go with it because they are taking neutral damage from this whole moveset here. We are going to go for the Drill Run, and then I will shield up their Drill Run because I usually don't get Dugongs to bait, but this trainer actually swaps in their Clodsire. They are broken, apparently, by Alolan Sandslash, which is, as I mentioned at the beginning, like this, or maybe I did. I've had to take a couple of takes with this video to make sure that I had it. Look, man, sometimes you just got to redo a video, okay? But I did mention, either in this take or the previous take, that Alolan Sandslash is an incredibly good core breaker to a lot of common teams right now. People running Gligar and, even this Clodsire is a pretty uncommon pick. But Clodsire is going to be very important next season, so please make sure you get one as well from this World Championships event while they're in spawns, because you never know when Niantic's going to bring something back, So we're just going to see what can we do with this Azumarill, right? I wanted to bring in the Azumarill here because I felt like out of everything that could go against this Dugong, the Azumarill was going to have the best counterplay, but also going to have the best chance at being able to dispatch the Clodsire without having to worry about, what was in the back, right? I wasn't expecting a Venusaur in the back, I'm not going to lie. But Alolan Sandslash with a shield advantage here is going to be able to dispatch of this thing, and then we have a Feraligatr in the back. We have an Azumarill with enough HP to survive a couple of Ice Shards from the Dugong if we need to. We're very well set up in this game here to be able to take down the opponent's Pokemon here. But the Venusaur is a very, very good pick in this meta at the moment, I believe. I've seen quite a few people have a lot of success with like Shadow Venusaur lead. So that's another thing that if you have a Shadow Venusaur, try and make a team around that because it is a very strong pick in this meta. Feraligatr comes in here, and the opponent would basically have to Icy Wind or 2 Drill Runs in order to come close to knocking out. And they're going to go for the Icy Wind, and that's not going to do it, unfortunately, and they realize the game's over, and they're going to concede. So good game. All right, picking up this final match here, I believe, into a Guzzlord. Immediately when I see Guzzlord, I kind of expect there to be double water in the back, and the opponent does bring in the Feraligatr. So here's what I'm going to do, and this is exactly why I was saying that I prefer to run the regular Feraligatr. I'm going to hit them with an Ice Punch. They're not going to shield it. Now I come in with my Feraligatr. I want you to watch what happens. I can absorb this move. Even if it's a crunch, I'm not shielding. It's a Hydro Cannon. Opponent now going to continue to go for theirs, and look at this. I can farm down this Feraligatr with 1 shield. That is a disgusting thing to be able to do with a Feraligatr because, as you all know, this energy is going to go very, very many places. This Guzzlord is not going to appreciate having Ice Beams thrown at it. They either have to shield an Ice Beam or not shield an Ice Beam, right? Because I'm getting 2 Ice Beams in here regardless. So we're going to be able to go for 1 Ice Beam, and then we're going to be able to get the second Ice Beam just before getting knocked out from the opponent's moves here. And honestly, they're in a very bad spot already, as Feraligatr has taken out half their team. And this is just me saying that, like, this is why I prefer not to play the Shadow, because it really can't take a hit. And every time, I just get hit with a move and get farmed down by someone else's Feraligatr and just lose. Now, I want to explain something real quick, because why would I come in with a Azumarill here when I have a Sandslash in the back, not knowing what their third Pokemon is? I don't know what their third Pokemon is. but I would much prefer to come in with a Azumarill to absorb all of the energy being resisted here and also start getting ahead on energy, right? There's not a whole lot that the opponent could have, even if it's a Lantern, that would be very resistant to the energy of my Azumarill. So they actually have a Jellicent, so I'm going to immediately pivot out into my Alolan Sandslash and try to get some damage on this thing. I'm going to go for Drill Run. I'm actually going to call this as a Surf as well, and I get the call correct. It felt like they needed to go for a Shadow Ball there, but like my thinking was, all right, if they do decide to throw the Shadow Ball here, then I save a shield for Azumarill, and I'm doing just fine here. My entire plan here was just save the shield for Azumarill, because Azumarill does not need anything to deal with the Guzzlord. It can literally just bubble down the Guzzlord if it wants to. I just need to make sure I don't take a Shadow Ball here if I can help it. Play Rough, not going to be quite enough. Play Rough is not going to quite do it here, but if anything's going to get me a shield here, it's going to be the Shadow Ball. But I call the Surf Bait again because I'm like, okay, they baited once. What are the chances they bait again? That was probably a little bit too fancy on my part. It was a safe shield, but picking up a third 4-1 with this set, getting up to almost 2,700. So very good team working here in the just under expert elo range. Hopefully, you know, by sharing this team, hopefully some of y'all are able to have some success with it. I know that some of y'all get hard countered with the teams that I put out. It happens to everybody with every content creator. You know, every team has a chance of getting hard countered. But this one is by far the most successful team that I've run in the Great League all season. And it's time I needed to get it out at this point because it's been, you know, getting 2 weeks left in the season. Why not, right? What's the, you know, I finally had a chance to get it in my content schedule so that I could actually make a video and put it out. So thank you all so much for watching. We're going to catch you guys in the next video. Hopefully you enjoy the videos that I've got slated. It's going to be some Shoutcast because I'm going to be away on vacation this week, seeing my family, but we've got some really cool videos, Shoutcast coming up, so hopefully y'all enjoy. Anyway, it's going to do it for me for today, guys. Thank you very much. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.